Hey, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. We're supposed to have a candidate call from the 6th Congressional District special election there at 9 o'clock. I just got a message. They may be about 9:10 or 9:15, so we'll go to that interview. So as soon as Sam gives me the high sign that our candidate has called in for the interview for the 6th Congressional District, we'll go to our advertising cards, so don't go anywhere. We'll get them plugged in, get the sound test, and probably be back in about 30 seconds. So don't go anywhere when you see the advertising cards. We will not be taking a 4-minute commercial. I got a message on the last segment. We were talking about Facebook. We were talking about Facebook birthdays. And I got a message telling me birthdays are special, and anyone who doesn't think so should try not having one and see what happens. Okay, so that was the thought. All right, so there you go. Birthdays are special. Try not having one. I think I'd try not having one. I think I'm at the point where I'd like to try not having any more, maybe, right? Okay, anyhow. We had a lot of fun on that last segment, and I always enjoy messages. Anytime you want to send a message, 706-889-9700. You can give us a message, 706-889-9700. chief@fetchernews.com, @FetcherNews on Twitter, @FYNTV on Twitter. Now, I said before, let me get this out of the way. I said this before we went to that last segment. Donald Trump, President Trump, has gone to Capitol Hill, all right? Capitol Hill to, hold on a second. Hello.
Hey, he just tried calling in.
The 9700, are you sure? Did you get a phone call? No, 706-889-9700. I didn't get a phone call.
706-889-9700?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the phone was turned off. We just turned the phone on. We didn't realize the phone was off.
Okay, I'll call him right back.
Yeah, tell him to call in right now. All right. Sorry, that was Katie Sassine. She's handling our interviews. I know what you're thinking. Wow, right in the middle. Our candidate's trying to call in, and I didn't have the phone set up. So, anyhow, I had to take that call, folks. I have to take a call. That's Katie Sassine, the 10 o'clock show. She is setting up all our candidate interviews, working on the 6th Congressional District with me. So, the president is set to meet with Republicans on Capitol Hill. Before we get to our interview, I think you need to call your congressman, whoever it may be. Ours in this district is Doug Collins. So I think you need to call your congressman, whoever it may be, and say, if the President of the United States asks you to vote for this bill, this is what I tell Doug Collins. If the President of the United States asks you to vote for this bill for him, vote for it. I know what you're thinking. I do support the Freedom Caucus. Opposition. I do support what I said yesterday with Ted Cruz, the third buckets for suckers. I do support Rand Paul, Tom Cotton, Senator Cotton. I support them. All right? The point is, okay? The point is I believe if the President of the United States comes today to Capitol Hill and asks a Republican to vote for this bill, you need to say, Congressman, vote for the bill. I know what you might be thinking on the other side of the screen there. Why? First of all, we cannot let the Democrats have a win, just a win, by saying that the president can't get his agenda passed by his own party. We can't do that. Now, if Donald Trump really sends something to Capitol Hill that has to be stopped, I will do everything to stop it. But the president, if he asks for this, they need to vote yes for it. I know you're taking me to, because right now you have to look at the big picture. Maybe we can get the 60 votes in 2018. You got to look at the big picture. You cannot throw President Trump off of his mark that he's going for by cutting these enormous bureaucracies in these agencies, the EPA, they're going to yell Meals on Wheels, but cutting some of this foreign aid, making the Germans step up and pay their fair share to NATO. You cannot stop Donald Trump from draining the swamp. And if you don't think that every day he is working to do that, you're sadly mistaken. He is working every day to cut the EPA that has a stranglehold on business here in this country. He's working every day to drain the swamp. I know he is. I see it firsthand. If you will look past the media. Okay, we're going to go to break. We have our interview ready. We'll talk more about this on the other side of our break. Okay, we're back. I'm sorry, we thought we had our candidate on the line, and we're having some technical difficulty getting our 6th congressional candidate for the special election there, trying to get that set up. So if we get that taken care of, we'll be on another break here to get our candidate. So bear with us to try to get this. These interviews are important. Okay. All right, we do have our candidate now. Stay with us on the other side of this brief commercial break. Yes. Okay, folks, we're back, and I'm your host, BKP, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We're going to record this segment here. We put all these interviews up. The Georgia 6th Congressional District has a special election to replace Tom Price, that is now the HHS Secretary. There are 18 candidates, 11 Republican candidates, 5 Democrat, and 2 independent candidates. That election is, I'm pretty sure it was April 18th. I hope I have that right. I'm off the top of my head. Now we have with us Dr. Mohammad Ali Bhuiyan, candidate, Republican candidate for this race. Dr. Bhuiyan, are you with us?
Yes.
Good morning. Glad to have you on our show. Let me go right into.
Good morning.
Let me go right into everything we have asked all the candidates as we have spoke to them. Why now? What's your background in politics? You have a background in politics. Why now do you feel it's time to seek this position as the 6th Congressional Congressman?
Well, I am not a politician. In fact, like everybody else, I am sick and tired of the career politician. So definitely, I am not happy with the direction of the country and some of the things are going on. So I am convinced that not just me, many other people should step in and help fixing the problems. And for me, the best reason I can describe in simplest possible term that I'm a proud American and I want to give back. I came to this country in 1986. It took me 14 years to become citizens, and this country has given me a lot. God has given me a lot. My wife and I married for 30 years. My son is grown up. So I think it's perfect time for me to give back full time. I have been giving back. And as a recognition of my giving back, I should point out that I was selected for Leadership Georgia in 1996 class. Atlanta Business Chronicle named me as 100 most influential Atlantans. In 2014, Georgia Magazine named me 100 notable Georgians. In 2015, so I have been very active giving back to the communities, but I think I have a bigger responsibility right now, and to come in as an outsider to look into this situation. And of course, I'm an economist, so I understand a lot of the economic issues. So if you look at my background and experience, I would say I will be one of the most qualified candidates in this race and bring new perspective, plus my background as a professor and small business consultant and entrepreneurship professor. I have helped thousands of small businesses succeed, thousands of students succeed. So this gives me the reason and the expertise both to come in and try to help and try to give back, and that's basically my motivation here.
Okay, Dr. Bhuiyan, you brought up a couple things there in your opening that I want to ask a couple follow-up questions on. What year did you say you came to this country?
I came here in 1986 when Ronald Reagan was president, and I missed that America. That was a very, very pleasant America. Now, with all the divisiveness, all the rhetoric, I'm very saddened that the country has come to a point where there's a lot of mistrust and many biases, and that's another reason I would like to step in and remove some of the misunderstanding, ignorance, and biases, and let people know that everybody in this country at some point came as an immigrant, and everybody should respect each other and try to help each other. And the thing that motivates me most when we put our hand on our chest every day in front of the flag and we close with 4 words, liberty and justice for all. And that is the biggest thing for me. I'm a supporter of the Constitution of the United States and the liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Dr. Bhuiyan, I respect everything you just said. My question, you came in 1986, Ronald Reagan, and if I remember what your comment was, you took 14 years to become a citizen. So let me surmise that you came here legally and you did the work and you took the time and did everything necessary to become a legal citizen in the United States, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so what say you, someone that came to the country legally and did what you had to become a citizen? I respect that you're an economist and you're all the accolades. I've read several. What say you on immigration? When you say we're all immigrants, do you feel that, what about illegal immigration? And talk a little bit about immigration and what you think about today, what's going on.
Right. I support a fair and legal immigration system. And what I mean by that, and it is for the safety of any country in the world, you must have a strict border control. There is absolutely no question about it. So I support fair and legal immigration with a strict border control. Having said that, I also would like to put the responsibility on politicians on both sides, both Democrats and Republicans. This 11 million big problem in the country was created by both parties. They procrastinated, they allowed these people to come in because of the career politicians' personal interests. So they have created this problem. So pack 11 million people and deport them is not an option. This is not feasible. This is not humane. So these politicians who created this problem must come out with a very fair and reasonable solution to deal with the problem. And going forward, again, we must have a fair, legal, and strict border control so that we do not face this problem ever again.
Okay, so a couple things there you picked out that I want to also go a little further into. Politicians, as you say, created this problem. You now have 11 million people, and they're going to have to do something they're going to have to do something to correct the immigration issue that we're dealing with 11 million in a problem they created. But moving past that, there's two things I want to ask you on the current president of the United States, Donald Trump. One, his words, deport the bad dudes, the gangs, the people that have, the criminals that have crossed illegally, that have murder, committed any kind of crimes, what he calls bad dudes. Do you agree with deporting them? And second on that, when you say strong border security, would you have supported, do you support either of the executive orders that the president has signed concerning vetting at our borders by TSA coming into this country?
Okay, the first question was about the gang members and criminals. Absolutely. No criminals and gang member who came illegally should be allowed to stay. They must go. But when I was referring to the politician needs to solve a humane way, reasonable way, fair way to problem, I wasn't referring to the criminals. They must go. There's no question about that. I was referring to people who have children who are citizens. So we talk about family values. So we must respect the family preferences on all of those issues. On your second question on the executive orders, both executive orders, courts have spoken. So that matters have been settled. However, my position is very clear. If any attempt, if it is to vet anyone coming into the country, I absolutely support anybody coming to the country should be vetted properly. But if there is any attempt to deprive or exclude any particular ethnic group or religion, I strongly denounce it.
All right, so let me see here. The only reason, and I don't know that this is not important in the matter of, your qualifications to be the congressman in the 6th district, so I don't want to go that direction. But you are actually the first Muslim Republican candidate for Congress. Is that correct? Is that
From
correct?
Georgia, yes.
Yeah, from okay. Now, Republican candidate. So when you say the courts have spoken, are you just leaving it there, or you just you did not support those executive orders, or you just leaving it saying, hey, they went before the courts have spoken, and you're just respecting my words, the outcome in the courts?
Well, I think I made it very clear on both ends. First, I said the courts have spoken, so the issues have been settled on one side. But then I also said it very clearly, without any doubt, any attempt by anyone to vet anyone coming to this country, I strongly support it. But any attempt to exclude or discriminate against any ethnic group or any religion, I strongly denounce it, because it's against the Constitution of the United States.
Okay, let me move on from that. Healthcare. Today, President Donald Trump is going to visit the Republicans on Capitol Hill to ask them to support the American healthcare plan. What have you seen in this plan? Do you agree that this is a repeal? Some people, the Freedom Caucus, is not going to support this, saying this is not a repeal of Obamacare. Should we repeal Obamacare? Where do you stand on health care and what you see at this time?
Well, the way I see it, the health care plan that is introduced is a first step in correcting the problems of Obamacare. There were definitely many problems with Obamacare. Of course, there were some good things in the Obamacare that presidents and everybody else talked about. For example, pre-existing conditions and 26-year-old with the parents. So this is the first step. However, as you have seen from the CBO report, alternative plan by the governors, Republican governors, and concerns expressed by many Republican lawmakers, that the new plan needs a lot of work. So this is the first step. It needs to evolve. But personally, I support a plan that provides reasonable health care for all as part of the pledge, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so wait a minute, let me see, you support a health care plan, liberty and justice for all. Just recap what you finished off there on your support of the health care plan, so I know I've heard that correctly.
Well, what I'm saying is I would support a plan that would provide reasonable health care for all, because we always say as a pledge that liberty and justice for all. So I think I want to link those two, yes.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly. So you would support a nationalized health care plan?
No, I didn't say a nationalized health care plan. I said a reasonable health care plan
for all
that would provide opportunities to everyone.
Okay, I respect. Okay, I understand.
Once you label it, then it becomes something else. No, I didn't say that.
Okay, very clear. Okay, I wanted to give you an opportunity to make sure you that was clear and that people heard you correctly on that. Okay, the economy, tax cuts. You're an economist, and we're actually going to get to my favorite part of the questioning that I like to ask. Can what you have seen so far in the president's tax plan, can we cut taxes? Can we grow our way out of the debt? Can we reach a 4 to 4.5% GDP? Can we do that? Can we cut taxes? And can we grow our way out of the debt?
Well, it's a very interesting question, and the two things I would like to point out, that I'm an economist and have dealt with these issues for last several decades, and I also am a professor of entrepreneurship, and I help many small businesses with the entrepreneurship process, and small business is the backbone of the country. Now, having said that, the tax cut, as long as it's linked to domestic job creation, it is possible that by reducing domestic taxes, it will provide incentive to corporations from moving their jobs overseas and restore domestic jobs. So if we can keep and bring high-paying jobs as well as train our workforce to be globally competitive, that will increase the income and size of the middle class. So these tax cuts will good for the middle class, will be good for the middle class and not against it. So it will reduce the deficit in the process. Yes, but key point is any corporate tax cut must be linked to domestic jobs creation. It should not be a handout.
Okay, I hear you there. So now the upcoming budget, the upcoming budget, the spending resolution there. Some people miss the point, and I want to say that nicely, that this is not actually the total budget that the president has sent. It is actually a spending reconciliation bill that allows for spending as they're preparing the final budget. Have you looked at some of the cuts in some of the programs that this would, like the EPA and so on and so forth? Are there any of those cuts or any of those programs or even the increase in military spending that you'd like to comment on?
Yes. First comment is it's because of the bickering between the president and the Congress and within the Congress, we have not seen a real budget for many, many years now. It's always been a piecemeal, so nobody knew exactly how much money they're going to get, including the military. And of course, from all the current reports, it does show that our military is not prepared in many aspects. The modernization has not been done because even they didn't know how much money are going to come. So while the other countries have increased their national defense and spending significantly. So from that respect, increase is justified to modernize our defense, national defense. Having said that, one thing it does not address is the last report that there's a 25% waste in every federal budget. So this budget does not address that issue. I wish it should be done in a more effective way. So that way, we don't need to increase the amount and then cut the amount. We could just fix all the waste and still accommodate a lot of these activities. And in terms of cutting all the long list of programs that are being cut, there have been a lot of comments about those cuts. Some of those, of course, the media makes it sensitive. But what I believe is cutting expenses is fine, but as long as it does not affect the health of every American, safety of every American, and we also need to make sure we keep our planet safe. So as long as those are intact, I'm fine with it.
Okay, I understand that. Let me ask you just a couple more quick questions. On the 6th Congressional District, if elected, what do you have as a specific, what would you like to go accomplish for the 6th District? What do you think as far as the representative of that area? I mean, put aside national interest right now and focus on the 6th District that you live in and you're running for. What are the specific issues that you think are necessary if you go to Congress?
Well, first, I would like to point out that if you draw a line in the middle of the 6th District to the right side and left side, there's a lot of economically diverse population. So there's tremendous opportunity to increase the economic well-being of the population, because media keeps saying that 6th district population is highly educated, high income. Yes, that is true, but there is a significant portion of that population needs help. So overall, I think my goal for the 6th district would be part of America. Of what I'm going to do is to bring back high-paying jobs to the 6th district and to America, because that is consistent with my background as an entrepreneurship expert and entrepreneurship professor and my last 30 years of work. I think that would be one single most important thing I would do for the 6th district.
Dr. Bhuiyan, let me ask you here. If elected, you would be actually in Washington D.C. just in time for this budget to come down, just in time for more legislation to be crafted for health care, as they promised. They're promising a 3-bucket situation there with legislation coming in the health care. There's so many things that would be in front of you that the President of the United States wants to accomplish. What you've seen thus far, does it look like Donald Trump, the president, is somebody you can work with? Or what have you seen that you probably can't get on board with thus far? I mean, how do you feel about going and working with President Donald Trump?
Well, as a congressman, as a citizen, every person in this country should support an elected president. But at the same time, the Congress's responsibility is to maintain the balance of power as the legislative branch of the government. And I am clear in my mind that I have my own brain and I have my heart. I will not be a rubber stamp. I will support the president, everything that's good for the country, everything good for the people. But if there is any issue that I feel is not doing that or is designed to discriminate against a particular group or particular religion, or I will not support those issues.
You know, you have said that a couple times, and I don't like to, by no way do I like to insinuate a candidate says something that they haven't, but you have said a couple times if there's a group or religion or something like that. You've said that a couple times. So are you a conflict with the current president in what he called a Muslim ban in the campaign or whatever? You've brought that up a couple times, and that's the only reason I say that. So are you coming around the fact that you don't support some of the things that the president has said?
Well, you mentioned a couple of times about Muslim. It's interesting. It's a very interesting day. Yes, I am of Muslim faith, and Mr. John Ossoff, who is an Orthodox Jew, who is the Democratic lead candidate, and there are a number of other different religions represented in this case. And I'm not concerned about one religion. I'm talking about any religion. If it is against any religion, I don't support it, because I'm a strong supporter of the United States Constitution. Anything that conflicts with the Constitution, I will stand up for that.
Well, the only reason, and I do want to apologize if I'm coming across in a way that is identifying a religion, because you're 100% right. You know, how many candidates are Baptist? How many candidates are Orthodox Jewish? I understand that, but the point is I'm going to have to say to you, which you know, the media has taken this and really has taken this and turned it into what it is, because I read both of the executive orders, and especially the last one, I do not see a religious test there. So I did not see a religious test, and I actually read and understand that we have countries, which I think you well know, you came here in '86, that we have countries that do not have a good vetting process that we can't count on them to vet people before they get to us. And I think that's the reason it was given on some of the countries that were listed. So it was not in my intent to continue to bring up that you are a Muslim and a Muslim, but you have brought up a couple times how you could support the president and where you could not. And religious tests.
No, I mean, all I'm saying is both executive orders, I have read it myself, and the courts have made their decision. And I'm not a legal scholar to go for or against those court decisions. We'll have to respect the system. But what I said is, if it is vetting, I support 100%. There is no question about it. But if it is something else, and it turns out to be something else, then I'll have a problem with it. So right now, as long as it's a vetting issue, I have no problem with it.
I respect that. Well, first of all, let me end by saying we tell every candidate here that we thank you for your willingness to serve your district. We say that, and at FetcherNews.com, we wish you well. Is there anything we didn't talk about today that you were hoping to make sure we got on this interview, maybe one of the issues that you had planned to discuss that we haven't covered before we close?
Well, I would like to let all voters of the 6th district to be sensitive to the fact that the career politicians have created this mess, and the last thing we need is send another career politician or a rubber stamp or a totally inexperienced person who haven't got a clue to do this serious job in a critical time. So I hope the voter will look at everybody's background and accomplishments and their record. And one last point, it is my pledge that I have not and I will not accept any money from any special interest group or PAC. And I'm the only candidate can say that in this race. So that shows my independence and my good intention to serve the 6th district without the bias of anybody else controlling me. So that's all I would like to say to the voters, and I hope they'll support me on April 18th, and so that I get the opportunity to serve my friends and neighbors in the 6th district as well as America.
Well, Dr. Bhuiyan, again, we appreciate you so much for coming on, and we thank you, and we wish you well in this election. You have a nice day, sir. That is Dr. Mohammad Ali Bhuiyan. He is a Republican candidate, one of the 11 Republican candidates out of a total of 18 for the 6th Congressional District. We're going to take a break. I want to come back. I want you to stay with me. I want to come back, and I want to recap. I want to talk a little bit about Jon Ossoff that Dr. Bhuiyan brought up and this race. So we'll see you on the other side of the commercials.